Hello everyone, I am Idona John Baptist with the Channel 5 News, the headlines. A traumatic day for Roseau Primary students after the death of their 10-year-old classmate in a traffic accident on Wednesday. Dr. Donald Peters takes on added responsibilities as Ambassador at Large for Education. And government launches major housing project for Castle Bruce constituency. The details after this.
M&J Covering is the producer of designed galvanized and galvalume in Dominica. They design to your specifications, color and length, 4 styles of galvanized and galvalume pre-painted roofing sheets as requested, and supply all your galvalume accessories. M&J Covering helps you control spending and reduce waste. At M&J Covering, they are also equipped to build your roof to precise standards anywhere on island. So come to M&J Covering at 1 Mile in Portsmouth or call 445-5001 275-5003 today.
First up, no arrest or charges yet as far as we know in connection with the traffic accident which claimed the life of a 10-year-old in Bath Estate on Wednesday. The 10-year-old died at the hospital later that same day. Apparently, the driver of the vehicle involved in the accident was subsequently attacked by residents and suffered a broken nose and other injuries. The 21-year-old was reportedly treated at the hospital and discharged.
The police are investigating a fatal road traffic collision which occurred on Wednesday, 6 June 2018 at 5:45 p.m. on the Bath Estate Main Road. It involved Giovanni Von Garway, male 21 years of Cochrane, and Nathalie Matthew, female 10 years of Bath Estate. According to the information, Giovanni Garway was driving pickup registration number FA073 in a west to east direction on the Bath Estate Main Road when he overtook a moving vehicle traveling in the same direction. At that instant, Nathalie Matthew was crossing the road ahead in a north to south direction in front of a vehicle parked on the side of the main road. The pickup hit Nathalie Matthew, who sustained bodily injuries. She was transported to the Accident and Emergency Department at the Princess Margaret Hospital, where she succumbed to her injuries. She was officially pronounced dead by a medical practitioner. Her body was transported to the Lyndhurst Funeral Home. Investigations are ongoing.
Thursday morning was not the typical school day for students of the Roseau Primary School, as counselors tended to them in the aftermath of Nathalie Matthews' passing. Nathalie was a grade 5 student of the Roseau Primary School. The school's principal, Sarah Abraham, describes her as lovable.
I knew her sister, actually. I taught her at Goodwill Secondary for a number of years. And I knew the mom because she used to come to Goodwill Secondary before I moved here. So I knew the family a bit. And she was very well behaved and quiet student, very lovable. So her loss will be taken very badly by staff and students.
Abraham says the mood at school was very sorrowful.
The students were still in shock and disbelief. The Ministry of Education sent in a number of counselors to do debriefing to her class and the other classes. And they also spoke to the teachers, but not in depth. We will speak to them at a later date. But they spoke to the students. They were very receptive of that. And someone from Israel Aid also was part of the team. This went well.
She says staff will meet to decide what form of tribute will be organized for Nathalie. A new assignment for Dr. Donald Peters as Ambassador at Large for Education will allow him to negotiate on behalf of government for better conditions for Dominican students. Prime Minister Skerrit announced Peter's newest title when he visited the State College to hand over a $1 million check to clear students' fees. Having facilitated the process for over 400 Dominicans to pursue studies in the U.S., the State College president says it's an honor to be recognized by government for his work.
I'm pleased and I appreciate that they have recognized what I've done before, and that is a way of rewarding me for on recognizing that I have contributed to my country for the past 3 decades. The strength I bring to being an ambassador at large for education is that I have access to American universities. I am their colleague, they know who I am, and that's why we can transfer students so quickly, because I bring credibility to this institution in terms of its standards and best practice.
Peters has held several high-ranking positions at U.S. universities, including becoming the first black vice-chancellor of the University of Mississippi in 1993.
When I left Dominica, I didn't want to be just an ordinary Dominican, go to America and lose myself. I wanted to make a name for myself and for my country. And I have a lot of distinction that my daughters are proud of. I was the first black vice-chancellor in 140 years of the University of Mississippi, where the Prime Minister went to school. I was the first black president of the American College Health Association, which is an association of 3,400 universities. So, and I have a lot of pluses on my side, but one of the things I do, in every job I had, I was Vice Chancellor at the State University of New York, University of Mississippi, University of Minnesota, Wright State University, you name it. And I immediately reached out to not only Dominica, the Eastern Caribbean, to use some of the funding that was under my jurisdiction to move Caribbean people into universities. And among Dominicans, the last time we counted, there were 467 Dominicans that I had helped and moved to the United States. And some of them have in turn helped others, so that's very encouraging.
The former Vice President of Student Affairs and Enrollment Management at State University of New York, Plattsburgh, says he is in a better position to represent the interests of Dominicans studying abroad.
Being an ambassador gives me the opportunity and the authority to negotiate on behalf of the government on how they place our students, what kind of funding we would like, where do our students go. Are those schools racist or not, and things like that. And then it gives me the opportunity to work with the Prime Minister on any other assignment that he would give. And that is consistent with my position here as president, so it doesn't conflict with it.
Assistant Superintendent of Police Cleville Mills believes the laws governing broadcasting in Dominica ought to be revisited with a view to addressing defamation.
The court has just awarded Mills $160,000 from winning a defamation case against Q95 Radio and its talk show hosts Matt Peltier and Angelo Allen. Mills says while he's not opposed to free speech, the media must be adequately regulated and should be more responsible in its programming.
While the journalists or whoever might be the talk show hosts might be claiming that they are fair, balanced, and unbiased, you can see that they are already running a political agenda. And if the agenda is to denigrate people, slander them, try to bring down the esteem in the eyes of the public, because that might be the strategy of the party that they're representing, they would use the media, they would use their popularity to really bring down people. It's almost like a naming and shaming. So if you stand for something and you come out anywhere, people will come and they'll name you, they'll try to shame you and to silence you. So this is, to my mind, is almost like a reverse dictatorship, especially in the case of the opposition, where they have power over the media. They use that media to really control people.
The superintendent believes the reason for this could be inadequate legislation pertaining to broadcasting. He says talk show hosts should be broadcasting in good faith, but some appear to have an agenda, and if a caller's sentiments fit that agenda, it is allowed.
Even if we want to have a free society, we want the media to be free, but they have to either be regulated some way or the other. And that is why I'm thinking, I haven't seen the Broadcast Act bill, but based on the idea of having some form of regulation in the media, and taking into consideration those things there, I think it is time that the Broadcast Act is overdue. The only thing that we have in Dominica now that may be a media company can use reference to. They can maybe use reference to the Dominica Broadcasting Corporation Act to see what it is saying. And one other thing, they are prohibited from making statements that would be injurious to people or to a society or to an institution. And I'm saying that if that is also included in the Broadcast Act for all media practitioners, that would be some way already controlling and giving people a fair chance. I mean, we have freedom of speech, but your freedom of speech cannot be used to destroy a person's character. And that should really be a criminal act.
Mills says even if the talk show host apologizes for defamatory statements, the fact that the statements were aired means the damage is done.
The most that you might get to me is some mitigation as to the damage that you have done, but the damage is done. So that's why I remember a long time there used to be a 7 seconds delay in broadcast, and that was the purpose, I believe, that what it was for. And maybe because everybody trying to be one step above the other, and you know, if you call a radio station, you have to wait for 7 seconds to hear what the person say. It kind of maybe annoying, or maybe it might be something that is not interested to the customer, to the listener. So in competition, people try to get the edge. But in trying to get the edge, you still have to be able to protect civilians.
In related news, ASP Cleville Mills is commending the work done by his attorney Heather Felix Evans in his defamation case against Q95 Radio and 2 of its talk show hosts. Mills describes his attorney Heather Felix Evans as diligent and thorough in pursuing this matter.
I really find that she had the commitment to the job, and we didn't take the matter in a frivolous way. As a matter of fact, my lawyer had to make sure she did her research. Even if you may have a case, she wants to make sure that you have a very strong case. And I agree with her for that, because one of the things that you might realize that the way the system is now, that if a person defame you, and from the time that you send them a warning letter, they start to ridicule you. So you have to be prepared to even face even more ridicule, and then wait for your day in court. And while the matter is pending in court, they still try to continue the defamation. And I remember there was a time that, that may be still the case, that once a matter is before the court, you do not discuss it in the public. But it seems like nowadays, it is very malicious. It is really malicious, and I don't repeat myself, but that is why I think that should be criminalized.
Talk show host Matt Peltier has said that he intends to appeal the master's ruling. Both Mills and his attorney say if this happens, they will be ready.
If, for their own satisfaction, they choose to appeal it, if they can appeal it, obviously we have our counter appeal, and we are very confident that our counter appeal will be successful, because it is just on a point of law. We are saying that some of the things that the master, took into consideration on a point of law, it was wrong. But when we look at the case on a whole, we got damages, and we decided to go with that. So if they want to stretch it, we'll see what happens.
You're watching Channel 5 News. Stay tuned, we'll be right back with more. Thanks for staying with us. The largest housing project for the Castle Bruce constituency was officially launched on Wednesday. Andrea Louis has more.
This as the Citizenship by Investment funded East Coast Housing Project for the Castle Bruce constituency was unveiled to the public on Wednesday. The overall housing project for the East Coast is being undertaken by Montreal Management Consulting Establishment and will provide 66 residential units each for the communities of Dalis, La Plaine, Castle Bruce, Saint-Sauveur, and Grand Form. Member of Parliament for the Castle Bruce constituency, Johnson Drago, says the apartment units will provide more comfortable living conditions for residents who were severely affected by Hurricane Maria.
I feel the pain of the many people in Saint-Sauveur, Petit-Sauveur, Bron, who after Maria, Castle Bruce, have had to leave their comfort of their homes and move into makeshift shelters. Persons who worked hard, elderly people who worked hard, and these people, after Maria, they've lost everything they worked hard for. And for some of them, they're over 70. So today, we are here in Castle Bruce to launch what I consider to be a major project for the constituency. The construction of apartments both in Castle Bruce and Saint-Sauveur for our needy people.
Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit says government remains resolute in addressing the need for safe and resilient housing for families directly affected by the storm.
When we spoke and you hear us speak about building a first climate resilient nation, we're not only talking about the physical infrastructure, we're talking about the human aspect of our society, ensuring that the human beings, people, can be provided with sustainable livelihoods and also be protected from the ravages and from the impacts of disasters. And so we give you the assurance with the help of God that if a hurricane were to come, God forbid, when you're in those homes, all you have to do is roll your rosary, those of us who are Catholics, and we can pray and the hurricane will pass us through safe and sound in his homes.
The communities will receive 2 apartment buildings of 33 residential units each. Work has already begun on the apartment buildings in Castle Bruce.
We've designed the buildings to withstand hurricanes, and we've also been designed to withstand the seismic forces. We are using reinforced concrete. We looked at other options. We looked at steel frames. We looked at more traditional methods. Reinforced concrete is the only material which we feel confident, particularly in areas like Castle Bruce and Saint-Sauveur, where you have a huge sea blast coming in, which will stand the test of time and provide the resilience that we need. We've already commenced work, and we have a 12-month construction period for it.
A potential apartment recipient expressed her gratitude and said relocation was the best option for her and her family.
Through the years, due to the drastic change in the weather pattern, my area of residence has become vulnerable to landslides, which we experienced during the passage of Tropical Storm Erika, where my family had to be evacuated from the home. After the passage of Hurricane Maria, the area became more vulnerable, and as a result, location became the best option for my family.
This housing program is scheduled to continue with launching ceremonies in the constituencies of St. Joseph and Maho in 2 weeks' time. Andrea Louis, Channel 5 News.
Prime Minister Skerrit says while government is committed to providing housing for the needy, they must take into account the potential negative impact on the agricultural sector. Prime Minister Skerrit said one of the reasons for upward instead of outward expansion for housing units is the topography of the land. He also pointed out that agricultural land is being used for resettlement purposes and government must be wise in its use of this limited type of land for non-agricultural projects.
One of the more fundamental points of why it's important for us to utilize as less land space as possible for residencies is that we have to very seriously look at the gradual use, and is also in a very fast manner, of agricultural lands for housing. Because if we keep using all of the agricultural lands for housing, we're going to have a problem.
As regards the resettlement of the Petit Savan residents, Skerrit highlighted that several acres of agricultural land had to be used to make this project possible.
To resettle the residents of Petit Savan, we've had to acquire about 50 acres of land. 50 acres of land we've had to acquire to build these residences for the people of Petit Savan. Now, how many parts of Dominica you can really get 50 acres of land to build homes like this? And so we have to look at these things in a very objective and serious manner.
The Prime Minister was speaking at the launch of the East Coast Housing Project on Wednesday. And Member of Parliament for Castle Bruce constituency says he is pleased with works under the DVRP in his constituency. In March this year, a $1 million contract was awarded to Spain-based company TIPSA for pre-engineering and design services to rehabilitate 27 miles of road on the East Coast. This venture falls under the country's Disaster Vulnerability Reduction Project, DVRP, and MP for Castle Bruce, Johnson Drygo, says to date, works on the roads have been moving along satisfactorily.
Build Back Better resilience building is already in action in Castle Bruce following Maria. For those of you who travel, you must have seen the kind of work we're doing with the shelving and the retaining walls that are being built. All the way to Castle Bruce, these retaining walls are being built and so on, and it will continue all the way to Petit Souffle. That is of contracts that have already been awarded to the tune of well over $8 million.
Drygo says one of the most important factors under this project is the enhancement of bridges in the area.
As a matter of fact, the bridge in Live Yellow will be replaced with a two-way bridge. The bridge in Saint-Sauveur will be replaced. Some work will be done on the bridge in Calais. Most of the bridges will either be replaced or they will be enlarged to allow for two-way traffic. Most of the road surfaces areas will be widened by about 6 feet, 3 on each side and so on. All of what is known as elephant cracks that we are getting on a regular basis in our roads will be the thing of a past. So we will be getting a very nice highway down the line, but we're happy for what we are seeing.
The entire rehabilitation project costs $55 million, and the roads to be repaired have been divided into 4 lots, namely the Port Cassé roundabout to Bois Diable Junction to Castle Bruce to Hatton Garden, and Castle Bruce to Petit Souffle. To end the news, the headlines again. A traumatic day for Roseau Primary students after the death of their 10-year-old classmate in a traffic accident on Wednesday. Dr. Donald Peters takes on added responsibilities as Ambassador at Large for Education. And government launches major housing project for Castle Bruce constituency. Feel free to contact us at news@marpin2k4.com. You can also access our past newscasts on our YouTube channel. On behalf of the entire production team, I am Idona John Baptist. Thanks for watching. Join us again tomorrow.